Good morning, Mr. Chairman. LtCol Fitzpatrick, United States Marine Corps. I've known several Marines and soldiers here who are enthralled to one of the Republican presidential candidates in particular who suggests that your job should not exist. So I'd like to invite you here to address that suggestion and talk about what the consequences would be or what a world would look like without a Federal Reserve.
Well, it's not a very realistic proposal. Essentially, every country in the world has a central bank, which is responsible both for managing monetary policy to try to control inflation and to support growth, and for financial stability to try to help the financial system stay stable. The only exception, the only alternative, I'm sure the people have discussed, is the gold standard. I doubt very much the gold standard would be even feasible today for lots of technical reasons, but let's suppose it was. If you look back in history, you'll see, first of all, that the gold standard did not create price stability over the short run. For example, in the late 19th century, when there were large gold discoveries, which created effectively a big increase in the money supply, there was a lot of inflation in the United States. Secondly, the gold standard did not prevent financial crises, which were quite common during the 19th century. And in particular, the gold standard, most historians, and I include myself there, believe that the gold standard played a very important role in making the Great Depression as bad as it was, both because of the 1930s, both because it transmitted monetary shocks from one country to another because they were all connected on the gold standard, and also because, given the constraints of the gold standard, central banks, which did exist, including the Fed, were restricted or thought they were restricted from doing what was needed to stabilize the banking system. It was dissatisfaction with the gold standard first, and with the existing system that led to the creation of the Federal Reserve in 1914. There had been a major financial panic in 1907. There was another one in 1914. The Fed was created to try to address those problems. Likewise, after the debacle of the 1930s, the Great Depression, again, the gold standard completely disappeared, essentially, and has been replaced with other systems. And the one that now appears to be dominant around the world, not just the United States, is a system that involves floating exchange rates, an independent central bank, which controls the money supply and tries to manage prices so that inflation remains low. And around the world, the performance, both notwithstanding the recent crisis, performance both in terms of inflation and in terms of financial stability has been quite good in the post-war period. So I think the record is good. The alternatives have not been shown to be successful. They've not been used since the 1920s, and it's very doubtful that would work today. So, I'm the first to admit that the Federal Reserve is not perfect. People can make mistakes. Institutions can be improved. But at this point, if you just look around the world, you see no alternative. There is no country that has anything other than an independent central bank or some kind of central bank managing its monetary policy.
We financed the Industrial Revolution. In the 19th century, we converted America from a nation of farms to a nation of factories on a gold standard. The entrepreneurs, the big industrialists, the robber barons who built up this country, they were able to finance everything they did on a gold standard. So obviously, that's just not the case. That's just all a bunch of propaganda by government. Government wants paper money. They don't want a gold standard because they want to be Santa Claus. They want to spend money on they want to pretend there's a free lunch. They want to give away something for nothing. They want the power. Gold puts the power to the people. Fiat money gives the power to the government. So that's the reason they oppose it. Anyway, hey, we've run up to the end of the show. We'll be back again tomorrow. Another 2 hours of the Peter Schiff Show. I'm sorry for the people who are on hold who we couldn't get to. Call again tomorrow. Anyway, this has been Peter Schiff on SchiffRadio.com, the gold standard in talk radio. Bye for now.
Hey there, brother, watch your little mama got.
The Peter Schiff Show.